Hey there folks, and welcome to this video, and here I'm going to be talking about the WRC, and I'm going to be talking about Mads Østberg. A lot of you, even non-rally fans, will have probably seen the video over the weekend, if you're a motorsports fan, of Østberg's tirade after a puncture in the third last stage of Rally Sardinia ended up ultimately costing him the class win and 5th place overall. It's an outburst that happened at the same time as lots of other criticisms of Pirelli rubber was happening in the world of Formula 1, and it seemed to echo a similar kind of sentiment. That said, because of the way in which Østberg's outburst was, he ended up picking up a suspended 25-point penalty and €1,000 fine. It's worth pointing out at this point, he hasn't actually been given these penalties or fines yet. These are suspended pending this happening again, so if this happened again, he would be given the penalty and the fine. So let's start off by talking about Pirelli themselves, and well, one of the things is, we are now in the first year of what I believe is a 4-year deal between the WRC and Pirelli, and what that means is Pirelli supply the World Rally cars, which will become Rally 1 cars next year, as well as the R5/Rally 2 cars with tyres at WRC events. So that is WRC, WRC2 and WRC3 all supplied with Pirellis. They also supply the junior WRC at the same time. And the reason why there's an exclusive tender is to stop any kind of tyre wars going on. We've seen in the past with WRC, such as Michelin and Pirelli back in the day, then through the BF Goodrich organisation against Pirelli, and also the likes of DMAC, and now rising in the European scene, MRF, that tyre wars can be quite expensive. So WRC wants to keep them down. But what do we say about what's gone on here and the failure of the Pirelli tyres? Well, I mean, there have been some criticisms since Pirelli's return to the WRC, especially with how they put up on rougher gravel rallies. We've had Portugal, we've had Sardinia just come by, and we've got the Safari coming up. In addition to that, later in the season, we've got the return to the Acropolis rally. But we have to remember, it wasn't necessarily all plain sailing when you had Michelin rubber. And I'm not going to be trying to leap immediately to Pirelli's defence here, but they did a lot of practice with these tyres on, of course, Rally 1 C3. But when we saw the kind of shakedowns they were doing towards the end of last year, they had Petter Solberg and Andreas Mikkelsen driving that car in Sardinia. So some of it is like wrong place, wrong time as well. It's not necessarily all on Pirelli. That said, we'll have to wait to see over the next couple of rallies as well. If these kinds of failures keep happening and keep happening on rougher, tougher gravel events, more questions definitely need to be asked. It could be that they had a bad batch of rubber go through or go out, and that could be why the F1 tyres had the problems they had. But that would be damaging to Pirelli. Be damaging to the sports as well. And this is where, as much as a single tender brings down overall costs and development costs for tyre companies, at the same time, I'm quite happy to see competition between tyre companies. As long as they're trying to match the same profile, like a same kind of specification, that's all good for me. Because, like I said, in typical Rally 2 or R5 categories, you see Pirelli, you see Michelin, you see MRF, you see DMAC. You could see a whole lot more as well. But we don't really see that happening in WRC now, because this exclusive tyre tender now covers the support series. Do I think that that's something that needs to change? I don't know, but we're nearly halfway into Pirelli's first season back. I think we are basically hit the halfway point now. And if this is the kind of thing that's going to continue through this year, then change has to be made for 22. Maybe in terms of Pirelli's design, but maybe the WRC needs to start looking for different contracts or more open competition when the when a tender comes up for renewal. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I know for me personally, I think that the kind of outburst that Østberg had was perfectly rational, given the horrific rally he'd had. I believe the fine was extreme, but at the same time, I don't think it was to try and protect the tyre company. I think it was because, as an organisation, WRC has to abide by all the kinds of standards in regards to things such as swearing that come with the event being broadcast around the world. Yeah, no, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you around. Bye for now.